tell.
So we're on.
Okay, we're on. Okay,
Lori's right on.
all good stuff.
Lori is on top. Where you
Treaty. Well, welcome everybody, and we'll get you in and out of here. Hopefully, not too long today. But we're already in open, so it's nice to see some people around, and we'll get into our scheduled council meeting. Thank you, Gord. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor McKenzie. The previous minutes of the January 22nd, 2019 council meeting and closed meeting be approved. All in favor? Additional items, anybody? I'll have something.
Oh, I will. I thought maybe I thought maybe Deputy Mayor would, but I will.
Well, fight over it today.
We'll fight over it.
Fight over it. All sounds good. Okay. Moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, that the Town of Minto Council convenes in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Delegations. And we have 3 today, and we'll start off with Matt Farrell. And Matt is the CBO of the Huron-Kinloss. Huron-Kinloss?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, your mayor is Mitch.
Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
No, actually, Mitch sits on Westeria with me and a bunch of other things, like Western Wardens. And all that
Yes,
stuff, so.
I understand he's just been appointed to that role, and
Yes, he
we're
has.
very proud of him as well
Yep.
for all of his achievements and his representation of the area as well. So, thank you, Your Worship, for allowing me a few moments of your time today to recognize one of our own and one of your own as well. I'm here on behalf of the Ontario Buildings Officials Association and our local Blue Water chapter. My name is Matt Farrell. I'm the current president of the Ontario Buildings Officials Association. And I'm here to present the Eugene McAdam Memorial Award. This is a chapter award, but it really recognizes a member of our local building official community that's done outstanding work, not only through our association, but also in the greater community as well. A little bit of history. Eugene McAdam was a local building official. He worked in the Grey Township area for quite a few years and passed away suddenly just prior to his retirement. He was very active in our local chapter, and the members at the time felt that they needed to recognize his contributions and created this award. It doesn't get passed down very often. It usually just goes to somebody from our local area that has really contributed substantially to our own community. This year, or actually late in 2018, it was awarded to your own Terry Kuipers for his role in carrying out some of the activities of not only the building official profession, but also his work with the greater development community. Terry has been the Blue Water chair. He just recently stepped down, but he's been the chair for over 5 years, and he's shown great leadership over that time. But it really goes to him for some of the work that he's done beyond that as well. I remember a few years ago when there were major changes to the building code, Terry organized a group of building officials to really put together a presentation on what those changes were. Got, I think it was maybe 50 or 60 developers from all across this area together and went over what the code changes were. And that's very important in our business, because you really want to avoid some of these problems up front as much as can, so you avoid having to be an enforcement arm later down the road. And that just speaks to the outgoing nature of Terry, his understanding on what the industry needs are, as well as the regulatory needs. From the association standpoint and the provincial standpoint, Terry has become one of our best instructors province-wide. He's known as an industry expert in the energy efficiency areas, and he's our go-to guy in those courses as well. So yeah, I know he looks like a young guy, but he's one of our old hands in that area now. And currently he's kind of leading a group to improve the front line position as well, the administrative side of of creating building permit applications and make sure that process goes smoothly. I know there's been a lot of talk within the province right now on making the approval process more efficient, and this is just one way of doing that as well. So it gives me great pleasure at this time to recognize Mr. Terry Kuipers with the Eugene McAdam Award.
One around here, we'll get some pictures.
One more.
Just because, yeah.
Well done.
I really don't want to be up here. No, thank you very much. It does mean, yeah, a great deal to me. It's, yeah, really recognized. Thank you very much.
He told me that he was suckered into receiving this award in front of council, and as soon as I heard that, I said, I'm coming over here. Because I know he doesn't like taking a lot of credit for things, but he did it.
Thanks very much, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
Mark all that down, Chris, for your next evaluation, eh? Because we want more money now. No, just Terry. I know you didn't want this, but Matt felt it was very important that you're recognized out there. And when you do those things that are, we see what you do here, and I know this council really appreciates what you do here, and worked with you for many years now. But the fact that you're helping across the board in your profession, that's a big outreach. And I think that's what we all like to see from our employees and even from the councils here when they go out and do other things for the community and outreach and help wherever we can. So good job. All right, who's up next? Oh, Andrea and Shirley. Welcome. Now come on up. We have we can do 2 small chairs. Yeah. If you want to bring one up.
We don't want to have a power.
Or you can do the power thing.
Have a big fight in the middle of this.
Exactly. Well, welcome. It's always nice to see you, ladies, and to give us an update on what's going on. And
thank you.
And are you on Doug Ford's task force for hospital reorganization? Or?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Just wondered. You're bringing that to us today.
So my name is Shirley Borges. I'm the executive director of the Minto Mapleton Family Health Team, and today I'm here on behalf of the Minto Mapleton Health Professional Recruitment Committee. I've chaired that committee for a long time, and I'm not sure why that is, but
you do a good job.
I hope that is the case, and I hope to continue to do that in 2019. So that's kind of where I stand. And Andrea, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Well, I'm Andrea Sarator, and I'm the professional staff and credentialing lead, and I cover Growth Memorial, Louise Marshall, and Palmerston. So I'm new to the role. I've been here almost 5 months, replacing Alison Armstrong.
Yep.
On the committee.
I joked a little bit with David before the meeting that Alison couldn't take it anymore with us, so she moved on to better things. But that's not the case, and we miss Alison. I really look forward to working with Andrea over the next year. So we do try for new council members. We try to come each year to give you a bit of an update about what we've been up to.
You see Mark back there? Yeah, had to.
And kind of our key successes, what we've got planned for the next year, and what we're hoping from council. So that's in a nutshell what we want to do. In your packages, you should have received a letter from myself back in November, and a bit of an update with some nice pictures. So I just want to hit on a couple of key areas that I think we've had some good success in 2018. So formally, our committee met 4 times in the past year, and we took some time to renew, review, and refresh our terms of reference. And I'm really pleased. David, that you're going to be joining our recruitment committee in 2019. I don't know if you're pleased or not, but we're pleased. And
Oh, you
so
begged me for the job.
thank you.
Yes, I do.
We'll be happy to review that revised terms of reference to really get at what it is, a committee that we're doing around recruitment and retention. And as you'll note in the letter, we had big success with recruiting our 9th position to our family health team. So that is our record high number. We had kind of floated somewhere between 7 and 8 positions, and now we have added a 9th. And a lot of that has to do with when physicians retire, it takes 2 positions to replace them. So Dr. Joanna Wilgotts came on board last year, and she joined Dr. Tamara Chu in our Minto Rural Health Center. And for those of you that have been around for a long time, you'll remember that we couldn't recruit because we didn't have anywhere to put our new recruits. And so Dr. Chu and Dr. Wilgotts are happily located at the Rural Health Center. And there's still 1 pod available in that center, hopefully for a new recruit at some point in time. And I think pretty pleased to say the rest of the center is full up. So for those of you involved in the planning of that and the financing and worrying, will there be tenants here to support this? I think once again we've seen success. So
You're getting more parking out front. And
yes, and fortunately the weather didn't cooperate with us to get the paving done, so that will be a spring project. But we ran out of room, so hopefully that's helping a little bit. And most recently too with the lab located there, there's a lot more traffic through the building and a lot of people coming and going, making parking a bit of an issue. So with Dr. Peterkin's help, we launched a charity softball tournament for I call it the North against the South, in the past year. And really that's really to support recruitment and retention and good relationships among our physicians, not only working in our clinics and primary care, but also our 3 hospitals that Andrea spoke about in terms of her work. And I want to let Andrea talk a little bit about our key success that we're going to continue for sure in 2019 and probably for longer around our medical residents. So let me just pause there and Andrea, let you say your spiel.
So one of the best ways to build a base to recruit from is through medical students and to offer medical students clinical training opportunities. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Peterkin and Dr. Deacon, who have medical learners work with them in their offices and also in hospitals. We continue to concentrate our efforts on increasing medical resident training opportunities as they are licensed physicians and are able to support our local physicians as well as gain valuable learning experience. So being licensed physicians, they can actually see patients on their own and they are functioning. Dr. Peterkin had 4 medical learners in 2018, and with one of them being with us for a 4-month rotation, which is excellent, as longer rotations are positive in that they allow medical residents to feel connected to the team and really get to know the community as well as the patients. For 2019, we already have secured 3 medical student rotations with Dr. Peterkin and 1 with Dr. Deacon. Back in October, McMaster held a family medical resident day with over 100 medical residents in attendance, hoping to connect with areas accepting rotations and to learn about more about what communities have to offer for learning opportunities, which Allison has attended for these students starting. And we are very fortunate that our hospital is small enough for medical students to experience a bit of everything, if they want to experience time in ER, surgery, obstetrics, as well as in the office. Larger hospitals can offer these things. And when medical students have a positive experience with our physicians, hospitals, and communities, they share their enthusiasm with their fellow medical students and residents, and it creates interest in others wanting to be students.
So we're definitely going to continue with our successful recruitment plan around our medical residents. They go back and tell their colleagues and their friends and other residents about the great experiences, and that has been, I think, our best recruitment tool.
Great tool to pull from.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work to organize and for Dr. Peterkin and Dr. Deacon to preceptor. We welcome the community. Linda here helps us to pull together welcoming information and packages that all our residents receive. And so for sure, that's on for 2019. We want to try and get a bit of a handle on where we're at with capacity. So I've had some conversations with our physicians around where we're at, and I think Dr. Chu and Dr. Wilgots are nearing capacity, their full capacity, which is hard to believe because they're just new to the center and to the area. And so that's something that we will have to get some help with in terms of our year to come. And we also in Mapleton have a bit of a spacing issue. So unlike the Rural Health Center, the Minto Rural Health Center in Mapleton, the Mapleton Health Center is full up and there's no means to expand there. So Andrea and I went to Mapleton Council last month and talked about some support there as to what we will hopefully look at in the years to come. So I guess the other piece is Andrea's working with Dr. Peterkin and a committee to launch a second softball tournament June 22nd. And it will be held in Thomaston. So that's kind of nice coming back to the Minto area. And so I guess in terms of support from council, hopefully you will continue to support our work and come, David, to hopefully our meetings, our committee meetings, and be an active participant. We'd like to work with you around your proposed development. There are lots of communities that are growing, and we're not quite sure how that will play out with our numbers. And do we need more physician resources in our majority of communities? We recently met with Belinda and Taylor around how we might capitalize on the engagemental process and hearing from our residents around, are they looking for a family physician? Do we have enough capacity here? And I guess finally, and really important, the financial support, our annual request of $10,000. And that money basically goes to support Andrea and her work with this committee, and also to remember the hospital matches those dollars. So for the funds that come from each of our townships, it's equally matched by our hospital. So maybe pause there. I'm sure that's burning questions.
Anybody got questions?
I do.
Ron.
I have a concern about one of your policies. I believe it's a policy of one doctor, one patient. So if, for example, a doctor and a patient aren't gelling, or for some reason the patient doesn't feel he has the service, or the doctor doesn't feel it, they're not working together as a team. And I think as a doctor and a patient, you have to have that kind of relationship. So if the patient decides that they want to move to another doctor within Palmerston's system, they're not allowed to.
So as it stands now, and that's not a family health team policy,
No, I was going to say.
policy among physicians, but as it stands now, really we are trying to help patients that don't have a provider because our resources are really stretched. So new people, for example, moving to our area, they are a priority. I think what you're raising though is from a patient perspective, if something isn't working well with your provider, we really encourage you to meet with your provider to discuss these concerns. And I have asked the group, and we will be discussing the process by which to deal with some of the concerns that you've raised today. I know Listowel, the problem is not many physicians are patients. I believe Listowel is taking some patients, but we're pretty much at capacity.
Well, I've been a member of the Palmerston Hospital since 1949, when I was born, in the old hospital. And it's hard for me to think that in order for me to change a doctor, which I'm not talking about myself, but if it was me personally, for me to make a change to go to Listowel Hospital because I needed to recruit another doctor, I wouldn't want that to happen. Our residents in our town, I wouldn't want to see.
I think what you're highlighting too, and this is hopefully where Minto can help us, is what is the capacity issue? And so in years past, when we brought a new physician and someone had retired, and you can say, you know, here is a roster of patients who need to come and start to practice. So we're not at this point right now, and I think the group of physicians really has to tackle that, because we can't bring a new provider on and say, here's 50 patients looking for a provider. It has to be a viable option both ways. So I would hope that some of that would help in terms of.
So have you any idea what the purpose of not allowing somebody to switch doctors?
I think from the physician's perspective, there are a number of people that do go from physician to physician frequently, and I think that's really not what the business is about.
But the unfortunate part, the minority is affecting majority that do, like I said, I'm very faithful to my doctor and very faithful to the Palmerston Hospital. But there are people that are in the same boat. They're having difficulties, but
I'm happy to take that back to the group.
that's what I would ask if you would do that for me. And I do get phone calls about this, more than one.
And it would be helpful to even write some notes from you so that when I go back to the group, I can share that with them. It is the physician's group though that has to decide whether an additional physician will join or can join, as well as the Ministry of Health. So there's lots of paperwork and rules around that, but I think we are looking at a capacity issue even outside of some of the concerns that we raised.
I just want to make it clear that I think we're the best system in the area. That's just a policy that I think would help even make us a better. So it's not that I'm saying that we're bad or anything like that. We certainly aren't. This is a policy would probably help.
And to be fair, I suspect lots of communities are struggling with these capacity issues and also offering other options to patients who perhaps don't have necessarily a therapeutic relationship with the provider.
Sure.
I suspect.
Any relationship you can have those situations. So it's unfortunate that there's no out right now.
Maybe that can happen, and hopefully it would. I think it would be a better option for our hospital.
So Shirley, I'm getting the fact that in the past you've come because we've had doctors retiring, so it was pretty focused. You basically said, okay, well, we need 2 doctors to replace that doctor because there's 3,000 patients or whatever.
So the struggle that we did have around even saying, well, why do we need 2 physicians to replace an existing?
Right.
Remember, we kind of went through that.
I know.
Now we've kind of got our heads around that. So now we have 2 physicians replacing, for example, Dr. Kretz, big shoes to fill. And Dr. Gilgatz has just been here just about a year, and they're at
full capacity. And that's with your family health unit and all the extras there. So, but definitely we just got our survey. What is it called now? Bang the table. Is that what we call it? Bang the table. Yeah, I think it's really important that not only we use bang the table, but also we can see from our growth alone the number of houses and starts, and if we get more growth in the industrial park that we see coming. So we have to let you know because it doesn't happen overnight. So I think you have Belinda there, you have David there, and we'll definitely work as a team
and
to
help us interpret, because we might see a plan development, but we don't actually know what that means for time frame and how fast do we have to scale up. That kind of information is really helpful back to the physicians as they look at their current practice and how they might accomplish.
So I think if it's a good opportunity for your committee meetings to look at that, and I'm sure we can bring that, Belinda, and we can bring that to the table. Let's use that bang the table. I want to use it as much as possible because it did cost a little to get this started, but I think it gives us the ability to get some feedback from the public we don't necessarily, and what I call balanced feedback, so they have a chance to say one or the other or whatever, not just petition that could come in that has one side to the other.
I still really encourage residents in our community who have a provider, if there are concerns, really they really should meet with their provider and try to work things out. For the owner's sake, the capacity is really minimal right now, and people need primary care. Otherwise,
Exactly. Any other?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to working with you guys, and I mean it goes without saying that likely the results that your committee has had over the years is a reflection on the people that are on the committee. I mean, look at we're not suffering in this town. I mean, we've got the beautiful center in Clifford, and in Palmerston, and so we're extremely lucky here. And I don't imagine you have for some reason, you don't get a lot of calls to tell you, thank you very much, Shirley and Andrea. So, I mean, on behalf of the citizens in Minto, thank you. I mean, you guys are doing a great job. We're really lucky. So, and I'm hoping that I know that we'll support you.
Your 10,000 sitting in the operating budget. I can tell you, just check with the treasurer here. He isn't hidden. It's there. We're hoping to pass the budget by March
Or April.
or April. I always say March because I want to go faster. So yeah. But I guess in peak for myself, but I certainly wasn't any problem in our first operating budget meeting. Nobody had a concern about it. So I know you have to work with it that way, but thanks for coming and updating us. And anytime we can help, and we'll be there for you, because it's so important. Not only just having doctors, but having our hospitals, our medical centers. That makes the economic development grow for us. If we don't have those schools, we'll lose a small town, and we'll end up just dying in the line. So we have to work together to keep these things from powers to be that always think bigger is better. So I love yeah. I know Judy's sitting on the hospital board. I'm sure she's sitting on pins and needles about different things that might be coming, but I certainly have talked in the province. I have no problem with them trying to help healthcare and come to the thing, but we have to get there somehow. But don't forget that important messages from people who are on the ground like yourselves. Listen to them first before you make big major changes. And I think we've got through our foundation and through our hospital boards, and I know that's an issue that's out there, and I know there's some leak stuff happening, and I'm on the chair of public health, and they're worried at that end of it too, and there's all kinds of things. But I don't have a problem with change as long as it's the right change. So, but we have to work together as a team. So thanks for coming again today, and yeah.
The good news is there's lots of work to be done.
Exactly.
So
Actually, and welcome aboard in your new job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, take care. Great. Okay, and next up is Colin, Chantel, and Karen. Now, are you going to all talk? Oh, you have four of you. We have two mics. We can share them. We can go up and down. We can put two together. A chance to talk to Colin a little bit before the meeting, and he was saying that this is something you've been working on in Guelph, and now you're looking that there's more than just Guelph in Wellington County, so that's good to see you up here in the north.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors. We're very excited to be in your company today to share with you some of our findings as we have launched our community health van in Guelph. We are currently operating on a Trillium grant and have been doing so since 15 months, for the past 15 months. And this came together as, my name is Colin McVicker, and I'm the program director at Sanford Health Center. This is Tracy Hobson. She's one of our registered nurses. In Waterloo, we are a Hep C service that supports Waterloo region and Wellington County. Our doctor, Dr. Chris Steingard, has been treating people since 2007 who come in who are struggling with hepatitis C, HIV, and are at risk for a variety of different pieces that make them highly marginalized individuals, including mental health, substance use, homelessness, and poverty. Often these people have incredibly complex needs. What we found as we've been doing our work is that not everybody comes to a traditional clinic, the bricks and mortar setting. Their mental health won't allow them to, or their substance use, or they have transportation issues. And so we have created, firstly in Waterloo in 2015, our first mobile health van. And from that we saw an incredible amount of success, where we were able to engage people who just simply were falling through the cracks if it were social services, mental health, legal aid, or a variety of other supports. We had applied for a Trillium grant to be able to launch a sister program in Guelph, Wellington, and we teamed up with Public Health and Arch, which is our local aid service organization, and we created the Community Health Van 2.0 Guelph program. Now, my background has been working in Mount Forest as a healthcare provider with Homewood Health, and I knew that one of the things is that there are marginalized people that are also in our rural communities. So we've been able to go back to Trillium to ask for an extension on the program till August to be able to, if there was support from the community, to be able to provide service up here as well. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the service, and Tracy's here to help me answer some of the questions that you may have in regards to a day-to-day operations. Tracy's out on the van every week. So the first question is, what does the van offer? What does the community health van offer? Well, it provides a variety of different services, everything from food enhancement to clothing to hygiene support. We have individuals that are homeless that need things like razors, shampoo, for feminine hygiene supports, who come to our services for these types of things. We're providing testing for HIV, Hep C, syphilis. We provide wound care to people who are actively using substances. One of the challenges that we've had in our communities, as you may be aware of, is the current opiate crisis that we're living in. We don't really have it's a very complex issue. We're seeing a tainted drug supply that is increasing toxicity. It's actually becoming a race to engage people in an outreach healthcare manner because we're losing them, and we're losing them at record rates. So this van is designed with individuals who share a harm reduction approach, a dignity first approach, where we can engage individuals without judgment in helping them with their needs. And sometimes that's about, excuse me, not using a drug, but how do you use it more safely, meaning ensuring that you have one good vein, that if you need hospitalization, that we can ensure that that's there for you. Naloxone kits, overdose prevention supports, STI testing, flu shots and vaccinations. I talked a little bit about the partnership with Homewood Health, with Sanguine, Arch, and Public Health. The beautiful thing with this is that we've been able to provide a variety of different services: bloodborne infection testing, STI testing, emergency birth control. So people don't have to come to these traditional clinics and experience marginalization through sometimes the primary care system, that we are able to roll those services out to them. This is a visual of the actual van. It kind of gives you that's Renee and Becky. So Renee was our social worker that's on the van, and Becky is one of our outreach coordinators. So in the van, there's a needle exchange program where we're able to provide people who are actively using harm reduction supply, so they don't have to recycle their use. We know that when it comes to HIV and hepatitis C and the transmission of these bloodborne viruses, this is a major transmission point. We have been able to, through the program, collect and dispose of 10,582 syringes that did not end up back into the community, but were able to be disposed of in a safe manner. We've been able to improve conditions for those who are marginalized. We have some really amazing stories of individuals who are actively involved in opiate use, who through our community health van team have been able to engage in residential treatment and been able to actually engage in going back to school, and have been able to improve their quality of life greatly within 15 months. We're able to deliver support to those who would not receive them, and access to healthcare in a non-stigmatizing manner. As you may or may not know, and it's interesting being here today as we have other conversations, not everybody has the luxury of having a doctor and a primary care team. We feel that this is a creative approach at just ensuring that if people don't necessarily want a doctor, they can certainly get wound care, or they can get those early engagement conversations and linkage into primary care if they need to. Tracy was just informing me before our meeting today that we've made over 250 referrals into primary health care from our community health van. That's a stat that we're very proud of. Again, we want to ensure that there's a piece in there to pick up all our marginalized people so that everyone can get the same access. Who's on the van? This van is composed of our driver, which is our mobile outreach coordinator, our peers. We have individuals with live support. They're a hugely important part of our program. They're the lifeline. They are the recruitment source for our service. We have our Sanguine Hep C nurse with Tracy. We have a public health nurse. We have our Sanguine social worker, social support coordinator, Arch staff, and we have numerous volunteers. the great thing about this program is that the more people that tend to find out about it want to get involved and want to be part of the solution with us and helping us. I don't know if a solution is the right word, but helping us have a creative approach to a very complex issue that we're encountering. Some of our community partners, Karen Armstrong has been an amazing support for us as we wanted to navigate our rural communities the right way, engaging support, finding out who would be good partners for us to work with. Scott Lawson at the OPP Wellington Detachment has been a huge supporter. So is Homewood Health. The Lynn is very involved with us and supportive of what we're doing. The Mount Forest Family Health Team, the Minto Mapleton Family Health Team, CMHA, Waterloo Wellington, East Wellington Family Health Team, the Upper Grand Family Health Team, and East Wellington Community Resources. As we know, substance use is a medical issue. It's not a moral weakness or defect that often touches on a variety of different pressure points, including homelessness, lack of housing, and right now overdose. And that's been a major pressure point that we've never seen. Our question to council today is, do you have any questions for us or see any particular needs in the community that the van could help support? We're very mindful as we look at, we think that this van is doing some amazing work in our urban centers. We are very mindful as we come up to the idea of rural engagement. We don't want to be pushing this van into any community. We want to be working with the community to get a sense as to is there a need in your community and how might we help. We know that for sure with our rural partners that there's geography is massive here. We've been doing some we've launched a little bit of service in testing the community in Erin, which is another partner that we've lobbied to. Well, actually, the feedback has been this is where the need is, and we found that very clearly that substance use is there. It's a lot of incredibly high with stigma, and people are interested in engaging with our team as we're starting our soft launch there. That's really my formal presentation today, and I'd be very interested in if there's any questions that you may have about what we're doing.
I'll start off. Mark, did you want to give a question?
Thank you, Mr. Minto. Thanks for the presentation. How does your van fit into the mental health issues that are out there today? What's your role there?
Fantastic.
Sorry. So basically, the largest percent of our clients struggle with mental issues. Sorry.
That's all right.
So basically, we do have a social worker on van as well as staff that are appropriately trained to deal with mental health and substance use issues. So generally, in one circumstance, we have a female who visits the van weekly, who we are attached to through a pharmacy. Sorry, my voice doesn't work today. The pharmacy asked if we would start to deliver her medications. They were they were mental health medications. They were having a hard time delivering those meds to the client. One of our stops happened to be right near where she was residing. She is now our first visitor on van every single night. And not only do we supply those medications, we're able to check in with her to see how she's doing, whether she's taking her medications. There was a med switch at some point in time. So it's about asking how that switch is going. Is she managing that? Is she having additional side effects? We've also been able to advocate on her behalf to maintain her housing. So there have been issues around complaints in the building and those kinds of things. So we're able to work with the building staff to maintain housing for her. So I work in the overdose prevention site in Guelph as well as with Sanguine and on the van. So my overlap is quite useful. So people see me on van, but they can access me other days of the week in other locations, and that is huge. So we are aware of the mental health issues. Our clients, the majority of our clients struggle with both, and I see those clients in every different place that I engage with clients. And this has been a really interesting way to meet new clients that normally wouldn't come into the facility. But sometimes once they meet someone and they're comfortable with them, they're much more likely to come and access those services. And usually we're very responsive on van. If there's something that you were needing assistance with, then we try to ensure that we follow through with those kinds of things. And usually when you're successful, then those clients come back to you.
Well, the other part of the question would be then how do the patients aware of what the service you're providing? How do they get to know you're out there and do the work you do?
So there's a few ways. When we pull up, we actually have sandwich boards that are out that say on the van tonight and the boutique of services that we're providing. It's been one of our ways. Our peers have been incredibly helpful in getting the word out. And part of it, when you're working within a marginalized community, the different services that we're providing in the trust that is established. So if we were talking on the way up today in regards to endorsement from people living in a marginalized community that you're a safe person to be talking to in the variety of services. So we've had 5,083 visits to this van in Guelph in the past 15 months, representing 1,837 unique people. And we continue to grow that number. Every month we're seeing about 150 new faces that are coming out to us. A lot of the way that people are finding out about us are through healthcare providers. They're finding out through people who are part of the marginalized community, who may know our team. We're teaming up with outreach teams. Our peers have been involved in the community in Guelph for many, many years, and as we look at expanding into rural, one of the things that we talked about is with our rural partners, if they have outreach workers who already have the trust with the population that we want to target, because we know that expedites that process and building those relationships. In our business, word of mouth and credibility is everything, and sometimes you get opportunities within seconds to build that non-judgmental relationship. One of the things that we're doing, I think one of the secret sauces that we're doing here is we're building hope. We're building hope in a system that has a variety of different pressure points. When you talk about the mental health challenges that we're experiencing, one of the hard things at working in a centralized intake process is meeting someone, seeing a clear need, but having to refer to them to a wait list for 6 months. One of the things that we're able to do with this van is to be able to engage someone with some level of something instantly that can help them improve their quality of life. If that's a sleeping bag, if it's soft food, if it's an overdose prevention kit, if it's winter gear, hats, mitts, boots, gloves, scarves, if it's diapers for their child, all these pieces have been instrumental for us in keeping people coming back to the service. It's often we talk about the mental health piece as maybe on visit 9 or on visit 4, but it's because it's all about the relationship. And as you'll know, in healthcare, we have a variety of different pressure points in how we're operating, where we need to see people in certain time frames. Whereas we have the luxury with this service to be able to be out every week. And sometimes people are connecting with one person if they need to have a conversation for an hour. And it's just about how is the housing, how's your life. People, a lot of the feedback that we're getting from people who use our services, thanks for not forgetting about me. I'm out here and I'm still part of it.
Ron? And then Dave.
Part of mine was a referral too. Thanks for bringing that forward. Your presentation's great, by the way.
Thank you.
I think your service is good. I wonder about the privacy. So a bunch of high school kids are walking down the street at noon hour. Will you be parked on Main Street? So that how will that person feel comfortable about going to your van without being his or her peers judging?
A great question. We are working with our local, and this is where we're not. This is where we're looking to our partners, strategic partners in our communities, to actually answer some of those questions. Where could we be? Where is a discrete place for us to be able to do the work we need to do? What we find is a lot of people that come to the service, as they enter the service as the community, they could be coming for anything in the service. They could be coming for a conversation around condoms, or they could be coming for conversation to get a jacket, or to get just to have a conversation with some caring people in their community. So the great thing about having a variety of services is that it's not a one service van. So it's not the drug van.
There's not necessarily a stigma with your van.
Exactly. It's like a mobile hub of service delivery where people could go. And and certainly there's a wide array of services that someone could engage with, and sometimes it's just to come and have a cup of hot chocolate with us and to meet us.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge, Paul and Tracy. I agree. I think it's amazing. I'm not sure where this idea came from, but you alluded to the point where it's a Trillium grant. So likely what you're trying to do here is prove that it's a worthwhile ban and cause.
absolutely.
What happens? Like what? So can you predict the future? How long is the Trillium grant
Yeah.
ahead of you, and what happens then?
Yeah, there's a variety of pressure points that we're experiencing
Sure.
in this. I mean, we are right now working with our mayor as well in regards to sustainability planning for this, and how do we work with the city, and we're also working with our local chamber of commerce in regards to, we think that it's good corporate business for corporations to want to give back to their communities, and this is a really, how we see it is, that this is a very cost-effective way that someone from the private business sector who wanted to support their community could do so. We have the tools, we have the training, we have the people, we have the recipe on how to do this. What we do need is, and we believe there are people out there with money that once they find out about what we're doing, may share the spirit of what we're doing and want to get involved. And that's part of the reason why we're here in front of you today, is that we know that the circles that you walk in may be different than the circles we walk in. And we believe that if we're going to have sustained response to this, we need a whole community involved in this. No one sector inherits the challenges that we're dealing with. And we feel that there's an opportunity to open that up to the community. What we have found is when we go to the community for donations, the people have been very generous. Once they figure out what we're doing, what is the essence of what we're doing, how do we help, and part of it is, so how do we generate stats and to show that this is helpful in your community as well. I think we have a pretty good idea as well that this is effective, but part of it is we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to explore that in our rural communities as well. I think one of the neat things too is that we're seeing mental health and concerns and suicide rates that in our rural communities that we're still trying to find creative ways, creative solutions to. We're actually working in Waterloo to build a mobile primary care bus, and the Lynn's involved in that, and we believe that this platform can help with a variety of different solutions. That's our hope, but I can't tell the future.
Yeah. Judy, did you?
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. Just wondering, it sounds to me like you kind of have an established route in Guelph, 5 nights a week, 7 nights a week?
2 nights a week. Right
2
now.
nights a week, okay. So if you were to be looking at expansion, like, are you thinking another van then? Like for rural areas?
So unfortunately we don't have the resources to fund another van, but what we could do is we could operate, how we've been looking at things within the resources that we have to collect data is on a bi-weekly level, being between Erin and if it was Palmerston. Those were the 2 communities that came forward and indicated an interest for us to at least start. So we would have to, because of our staffing levels, and we're going at this from a pilot, those would be how we would plan it, and we would have a strategic route or a strategic place to be in that community, where we would probably have social service agencies, healthcare providers that would help us navigate where the people are at what time. We're actually doing that right now with the rural Wellington community team. That team services all 4 family health teams in rural Wellington. So we've had great response, and we're being led by some of those outreach workers and key players there on where we could be and what that route could look like.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Just a quick question. So if I come and use your resources, is there any chance that, or any way that I can give you some donation, or is it all free, or do you collect donations on site, or what's right?
Absolutely. We have seen our communities have been incredibly generous. As we look at in Waterloo, we've actually run our program solely on donation for the past year. When we are in Guelph, our small office at the bottom of the Guelph Community Health Center is overflowing right now with donations from people. We get individuals that come to us and say all the time, "How do I help?" And one of the things that we're looking at is actually creating more opportunities for people to volunteer to be with us or to donate or support what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, we take everything from gently used clothes to boots to if people want to donate a card to a grocery store where we could purchase cards. I mean, you think of things like medical supplies or polystyrene, Polydent. These are major pieces that we see that aren't covered by traditional systems and are quite expensive. So yeah, we definitely do accept donations. Yeah, we are a registered charity. Anyone else under the register? And monetary donations.
Usually, if a client will ask us for something specific, we try to make sure that we have it for them the next week.
Right.
If there's nothing.
Very good. And this falls under, I was on the poverty task force. One of the biggest concerns that one of the issues you have, it's I hate to say it's easier in Guelph, but you see poverty quicker in Guelph because of where people are seen at the bus stations and all that. Rural poverty and rural homelessness is there. We don't necessarily see it as much. So it's good that we recognize that, and I like the approach that you have. Is how you're going to bring some services, because even though we have the clinics and we have other things, these are people that wouldn't necessarily trust to go there. And I love the fact that you said you had over 500 referrals or something like that. Or was it a lot of referrals. So you were getting them to where they need to have long-term care. This is a short-term fix for them, but certainly that it's not there. And if we can make everything safer for the people that don't have a house to home, and a lot of these people won't have homes, and we think they do, but they're just couch surfing. They're finding places, but certainly this would be something. So I already in my mind, I'm just going through some of the groups that we have around that would probably certainly donate clothing and other things to you up here, because I know we have a lot of really interesting groups that really do a lot in service. So I don't see a real downside to this. I really see it as an upside, and hopefully we can find a way to find that perfect spot, because I'm with Ron. I think you want to have some place that's not on the main street per se, because if they're not going to come to you unless they have a spot where they can come in a reasonably, and we're in small towns, right? And small towns would be different than Guelph. Most people in Guelph, like you're a person, but they don't see you necessarily as a city, right? We're in a small town. If you're heading to a bus or something, you'd be concerned. You may need the help. You have to outreach. I talked to you just briefly before, Colin, that we're working on a mental health program now internally too, to find that help that the kids need, or adults as well. But we have a rash of suicides. We know there's a mental health issue. We know most substance abuse starts with a mental health issue first, and it's self-medicating. A lot of cases, that's what it is. It's not because maybe it was pleasure for once or whatever in their lives, but that's not what it is today. So we know all those things exist. So kudos to you to reach outside of the city, because it'll be tougher for you to figure this out. But certainly we, and as the council, and hopefully and the staff can help you in certain areas through some of those things we're already working on, because we can sit there and say it's always somebody else's problem, because it's health shouldn't be our problem. We heard just the delegation before. If we would have sat back years ago, or the councils would have sat years ago and said, well, the province got to supply doctors to us up here, we wouldn't have the doctors we have today. We wouldn't have the medical centers we have today. Those are all things that we knew at the local level we can get things done, and we put our resources and our money and effort into it. So I don't know where your next steps are, whether you want to work with our staff to figure out what that location would be. Obviously it's Palmerston you're thinking, or you just want to find a spot, park, and see how it goes.
I think one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're actually starting to work with some of the strategic outreach people.
Yep.
To kind of figure out where's an ideal spot for people to go and as the trust.
Yeah.
Proceeding. I think one of the things that's incredibly helpful is us having the endorsement of the council as we do the work we do, because we know that there are some people that don't understand harm reduction. We know that there are some people that don't understand the needs of our people. So to be able to come to town council to say, you know, these leaders in our community have supported this initiative and feel that we can maybe do some education and some work with the community. We don't want to be working in isolation. So I think, and if there's any opportunity to raise the profile of a really a service that's coming to town that can use donations, I mean, that never hurts either. I mean,
Well,
one of the things
you're on Whiteman and you're on television right
No,
now, so
perfect.
there you go.
So,
I mean, we're global. We're
perfect.
global here.
Perfect.
If not,
Just one thing. I think it would help, and I agree with everything that everyone said here, and it seems like a positive, what is a positive thing that we have happening. But it'd be important to know what kind of dollars you need at the end. We have several service clubs and groups around our area, probably more than willing to support
Beautiful.
somewhat.
Yeah.
But what kind of dollars would you need in the end?
Yeah, I mean, we're yeah, it's depending on how the uptake is and what the need is and what the frequency of service is. I mean, we're doing this at well under $200,000 for full-time service delivery, and that's accessing and that's not a full-time operation yet. So we think that there could be, when we talk about dreaming, we think there could be a rural health community van, a wealth health community van.
Certainly.
And so I think the potential is.
If you could get, I don't know whether you have any pamphlets or anything that we could get out or some kind of.
well, we have some social media that we can work on. But one of the things, though, I think you said earlier in your comments that this is new. Out of Guelph, you have some good stats.
Yes.
In Waterloo, you have some good stats,
Right.
and I think you're trying to build some
Correct.
stats here that we can come back on maybe down the road and see what the need was.
Correct.
I mean, we anticipate a need. I know there's a need there. I just don't know how big the need is until you'll find out before we will as to. It's very hard to get. Now, when we tried to do the survey for War and Poverty, we had very little uptake.
Yeah.
Where in Guelph, everyone went around and actually with a clipboard and could talk to people and say whatever. That was almost impossible in Wellington County because where do you find that group, right? So I know there was a far more than what showed up on that study, and yet that's what you have to deal with. So I think you being on the ground and figuring it out and going from there should give us a little bit better picture of what our needs are and where we're falling down and where we can shore up the things. So,
And maybe this will be a first presentation.
all right,
Not a last presentation.
there you go. I would assume that. I would assume that, Colin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have one of our
Oh, sure. Yes, I'll just take that and I'll give it to. Perfect. Thank you. And I'll get our task force on our suicide mental health to give you a shout.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Hey. We can release all the delegations if they'd like, or they can sit and listen to this riveting stuff we're talking about next, which is what? Or public questions.
Pull the chains.
Get rid of everybody.
That's something well needed, I think.
Why we didn't do it. That's why we didn't do it the last time. Okay.
For somebody.
Public question. We haven't got anybody. Okay, we're good. Okay. Correspondence. Is there? What one? What? Oh yes, the source water protection one. Okay. We have correspondence. I believe there's one that we're going to forward on the water because we have to make a destination of who we might want on the source water. We can pull that one out. Is that all right? Any other ones?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'm not sure if we want to pull it out, but I think we've had a huge discussion on the Maitland Valley stuff, and these two sets of minutes. It says a lot towards what's happening in Minto, and if you haven't read them, you likely should.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
Did you want to pull that and just go through it in general?
I think it's history, a lot of it.
Yep.
I mean, we've had the meeting here on November 27th.
Yep.
So it's just, I really believe the big one there is the endorsement of the Maitland Valley to give technical support. on the flooding here. But yeah, no, I don't think we need to pull it out.
No,
Everybody
I mean,
said-
I thought it was very lots like normally the minutes are
Good
kind of
stuff. Yeah.
not as much in them, right? But say that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we have this one we're pulled out, and yeah, the Sabo Bayfield Source Water Protection Appointment of Municipal Representatives to the Source Protection. Then we have two individuals. Mark, you maybe speak to this. You actually sat on this, I think, for a couple of years, did you not?
Yes.
If you want to just give us an update as to where they're going with this.
Okay, if each municipality in this district can't agree on the
Right.
each one is separate, and the board will choose. So I think Richard submit. So
Yeah, I
it
guess.
looks like the board's going to make the choice.
Yeah. So if this council would decide which one of those two that we support, is that what we need to say? Yeah. Okay. So.
Sorry if I'm ignorant. They are asking if the resolution from the municipalities and groups making a new appointment or providing a list of candidates for the Source Protection Authority to consider. You could just put those names forward to them to consider. Alan Rockwell and Art.
Well, okay. And they're going to consider. So we're not adding somebody. That's what you're saying.
Unless you wish to add it.
Which we're not. We could add somebody, but Mark decided he felt that he's been on long enough, and I think there is sort of a. I believe Mark, you were saying that went Perth, Perth, Minto, Howick. There's a bit of a Mapleton.
They rotated.
They rotated it, so I think it is in my mind. I know Art. I know Art. I don't know Alan, but I know Art. I think Art was on the. Correct me if I'm wrong, David. Chairman of the Maitland Valley, and I think he would bring a lot to the table. And he's got the time now that he's not the Reeves. So I'd like to support just putting one name in there, telling them that support would be. But anybody else any concern?
I sat on this as well for a while ago, and I guess my feeling, like I don't know those gentlemen really well. I guess my feeling is they have a process to go through to kind of take applications, and I guess I would like to just see us say these are our two names that we'd like to put forward.
We're just not going to add anybody. You're saying we just don't add. If we could add it somebody. That's what they're saying.
Do a resolution proposal.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, that's I guess what I would like to do, because it's pretty hard for us to sit here and say.
I'll second that.
Unless there's somebody here around the table that wants to go on it. But.
Yeah. In the way we do some of our appointments, like Maitland Valley, and that we actually reach out. I reach out to the other mayors, but I guess if there's two people, there's never really been two people up, so I imagine that's a similar approach. Mm-hmm. But if there was two people up, then I guess Maitland would make that choice, David. I don't. Is that how it works? Okay, I have no problem with that. So the motion is on the floor that we just send both names in, and we're not adding a name. Right? Is everybody good with that? Okay. All in favor? Okay. Oh, it was Judy and David. Yep. Okay, good. That's done. Alrighty. Oh, I thought we did that. Okay. Motion to accept the rest of the correspondence. Mark and Jeff, all in favor? Staff reports, economic development. Linda, licensing extension.
Yeah, this is
Very
pretty straightforward and brief. So since launch it's been around, we've had a lease or a sublease, we sublease to the Ministry of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure, which has changed every time we've extended. So as you can see, it's now the Minister of Government and Consumer Services we're dealing with. But again, it's just in line with our launch at lease. So I brought that forward the last council meeting. It's a 2-year extension. This is in line with that. We got a 3% increase from them that we requested. And they're there not even 52 days a year. So it's a good deal for us and a nice stream of revenue for launch it. So it's just to get approval to go ahead and extend that.
Questions? Mover and seconder. Mayor Burton. All in favor? Yep, they even give us an increase. Oh, that's good. That's good. Cost of living. Roads and drainage. Wayne's up. Oh, and Mike. The tag team.
The heavyweights.
Water up to my house.
I should turn this over actually to Judy. Judy, you're up on this.
Okay. Well, thank you. We have 2 items on the agenda this afternoon, and just feels like evening.
Yeah.
And so we'll turn it over to our staff to take us through it.
Go ahead. Okay. We have proposal here for putting a water main from Queen Street over to Water Tower in Palmerston. The existing right now, we're going to be 1981. So the new main from the tower to Williamsburg. So we're getting this loop in that will allow us to get the issues pressure through from the tower to the main. So it's something that I've always felt is very important. And then if it was in there when we do the reconstruction of Williamsburg, we would actually shut that line down and allow people to work around that. Breaking that need at that time and causing any issues. So I guess at this point it's we had 4 tenders come in and ranged from $119,040 to 2021 $210,006. So we talked with Triton and myself, and they're comfortable with everything in the town of Minto. So I guess recommendation would be that council receives the road and drainage manager and water foreman's January 31st report and Triton Engineering installation tender solutions incorporating $119,900.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank
Deputy
you,
Mayor
Chair. Like, that's quite a range. We're almost twice as much from bottom to top. Like, is there that much money in this type of work?
Well, I think part of it is that you have specialized take on part of that.
Gotcha.
Somebody else is doing that.
Right.
And then you've always got this right area too, where we are CN land and the soil. Part of slurry or anything you have to do.
So there is some risk.
Okay. Thank you. Mayor Bridge?
I'm just moving it.
Oh, okay. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Deputy Mayor Turton? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Don't
Thank
drill
you.
into my basement.
No, yeah. We'll
wash your house
we'll get put some of that slurry in your basement there. Slurry.
Okay, and the second item is Mike's been working on this with some of his friends for a while, putting this report together. So it's a fairly detailed report, so I'll ask him to take us through it.
Okay, so over the last 8 years approximately, staff's been working on just different ways of becoming more efficient with their equipment, seeing the needs that are required here, and then which has created the opportunity for us to reduce our fleet in multiple areas. For example, the latest one was we were able to take 2 snowplows basically out of our fleet, and one of our single axle dump trucks and turn it into one vehicle to basically provide the same services and using the existing equipment as well. So the first chart that's in front of you there is basically the layout as is with the changes to date. So since 2013, when our original program was put in place, it was an estimated replacement value of almost $5.3 million. And with the current plan, we've brought it to an unadjusted cost of $3.76 million over a 14-year life cycle. And then just with some more comments moving forward, there is an opportunity for further savings with a couple of these additional trials, I guess. We're anticipating that with the use of the purchase of possibly used graders or tandem axle plow trucks from quality sources could decrease the overall purchase price. And then one other item that staff's been looking at as well is the use of a municipally owned tractor equipped with a wing and plow with a sander on it, which we've been in communication with. The first one that we became aware of was the municipality of Newford, and they've had this unit pictured here in use for I think it's about 3 years now, and with excellent results. With saying all that, you can see with these adjustments to the equipment replacement plan, there is a further reduction in the overall fleet of another $22,000. Is there any questions? It's kind of a lot of information.
Mayor Bridge and then Councillor Gunson.
Great job, Mike, working through this, and we've shown some results already, and with the graders being operating and it's going good. The tractor idea, I think, is a good idea too. I just wonder if I know you said in the report that Meaford has done it and you've had some discussion.
Yeah.
Would there be availability for us to test that in 2019 and then maybe buy something in 2020 if we thought, or like do we have people in the business out there that would be able to do this for us? I like the idea that you don't need specialized training and that it makes sense.
Yeah.
I know they do it in the cities, so that makes a lot of sense. And then the second question would be, is there enough use for the tractor? One of the things that we had with our trucks was the trucks sat there because we weren't even doing any hauling of gravel much. So then they sat there and we didn't need them, and that's why we got rid of some of them.
Yeah.
Would the tractor have any logical uses, or how would we use the tractor in the summertime to offset the fact we're going to buy a tractor?
So, like you said,
a lot of questions.
With the use of the trucks that are there, we have 5 single axle and tandem axle trucks that are available, and they do sit the majority of the year outside of winter. So with this piece of equipment, there is a possibility of multiple grass cutting attachments, mulching units. You could get a pulverizer, gravel retrievers, wood chippers, depending on the location where the tree maintenance is needed. And it wouldn't be necessarily, we wouldn't be asking for the purchase of all these attachments or anything. They're available, so the as needed rental, and then it could be if there was a definite need for an attachment and it's been proved necessity, then we could look at the purchase at a later date. And we have also looked at trying to get a unit here to try. So we talked to a local farm dealership, and there's risk for them to suit up a unit like this with no guarantee. There is another company that has a number of these units available, but they're all currently being used out west. So we're hoping to have one here over the winter months, but as is right now, they're still going to try to get us one here. But we don't know if that's going to be a possibility with this season.
Well, maybe not going to have any more snow, which would be nice.
That would be
I
nice.
live with that.
And we'll have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Councillor Gunson.
My question actually was, the second part of yours is, where was it going to be used?
Okay.
in the
The off
urban
months. So-
centers, yeah.
Well, no, just in the
within
off
town.
months when it was.
Oh yes, yeah,
so
for sure.
You have
Yeah.
answered that. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anyone else with questions?
This, and just to go along with this too, that this is just it's not written in stone.
No, it's recommendation.
Yeah, so at the time, if we did go out to tender for it, if there was something that we weren't really liking with the results of that, this would just be added if we were to proceed with some of these items to try in the future. It just opens up the opportunity for staff to entertain certain ideas along the way, with a future report coming back before something did move forward with it. Okay, so basically we're just looking for direction if we'd like to entertain this idea to go to a tender or anything like that.
Councillor Elliott.
I think it's a great idea. Tractor can go a lot of places a truck can't, and it's a lot more maneuverable, and I think it's a win-win situation. I think it's a great idea.
Well, I think it shows a reduction of 22,000, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I think you've been fairly, like I don't think you've taken every reduction that you've talked about even, right? Like there are more reductions there that could possibly come from all of this.
Yeah.
So I think you've been, you've been pretty careful about your numbers. So. Anyone else? Okay, I'll read the recommendation. That council receives a report from the Road and Drainage Manager dated January 22nd, 2019 regarding the equipment replacement plan as information, and directs staff to source used graders and tandem axle plow trucks during their respective year of replacement and tender for a new tractor unit equipped for winter operations presented in the 2019 capital budget to be awarded at a future 2019 council meeting. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Gunson. All in favor? Okay, thank you. That carries. Good job, Mike.
Yeah, pass it over to Dave.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge. We have our treasurer sitting right here at the head. So would you go ahead with the approval of the accounts, please, Treasurer Duff?
Thank you, Chair Turton. So we have another large one with a couple of major items on there. So we have installed all the EV charge centers, and
Cost me an arm and a leg.
yeah.
Found out my car doesn't really work as well in these things, so I might have to back off. Cost me more than it's worth.
That was about $88,000 for that.
$88,000. He's
Yeah,
put into it already.
22,000 piece. Now, so we're gonna keep in there, but we're gonna get about a $60,000 rebate. So it's not great, but it's not as bad as it initially looked. We've also paid some of our development charges, school boards, and we got a significant payment on our fire chassis for $2,000. And I think we have our last large payment on the Clifford project of $22,000. And paying the table, I think as you remember, then Matt came to us and we didn't have to pay until now, so we just paid $500. Yes, a couple of months there to look at, and I think we can see it's been really useful so far. And
Questions? Mayor Bridge, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Elliott. So, thank you very much. The recommendations, the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated January 30th regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for December 2018. All in favor? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Pass the chair back to our Mayor.
And I'll turn it over to our acting CEO, Chris, on the provincial highway.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. This is just an update for council that we have been in correspondence with the MTO on our upcoming highway projects this summer. And I'm happy to report that through correspondence with them and kind of addressing our concerns a little bit, Highway 89 road here is not going to be done this year. So it won't be closed this year. they're going to move and do that bridge down further in 2020 actually. So this road will be closed in 2020, which then allows them to continue on with Highway 9 this year, and it's rotating closures. We're not sure on how often or how long the closures are going to be on Highway 9, but again, they are working with us, and we are going to sit down and have meetings with them. On they've vowed to keep us updated. They've already updated us on that, and we're working with all the businesses along there that the MTO is committed to providing signage to say that the businesses are still open along there and how to get to them. So they are being very cooperative and have listened to our concerns. And this is just an update on that our concerns have been addressed. So to that method, the recommendation we had done earlier in a council meeting that we had recommended, you had passed a recommendation for us to do a delegation at the Ontario Good Roads Association convention, and asked the staff reporting back to you that we don't think that's necessary now because they have listened to our concerns. They are working with us. The communication lines are open, and I've been in constant communications with both engineers on both projects, so that we don't think a delegation is necessary. So we've just put in another recommendation to say we're not going to meet with them now. So.
Questions on that?
Chris, the 89 bridge, will the engineers be just considering then if it has to be changes there in the next little while?
I believe that bridge that's up high enough is the Saugeen one. That doesn't affect. I don't know if it's a Maitland tributary. I think it's a Saugeen tributary up that high.
Saugeen.
I thought it was outside of town.
No. It's on 89. The metal bridge on 89. Mark, almost
the bowstring bridge.
Okay.
Up there, that's the bridge that they're going to replace. So.
I know where it is.
The other side of the
So
No.
no, it's the one up closer to Wellington North, so it
Okay.
shouldn't affect that at all. So
Thanks.
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
Judy, all in favor? Thanks. Yeah, it's great to see that little talk we had and
Yes, that's right.
it's worked. So that's all good.
It should be.
Yeah, we should be.
Yep.
And what do we got here? Oh, the volunteer dinner here. I jumped up to the next one.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. This is always a good one. So it's the 11th annual Volunteer
Yeah.
Appreciation Dinner this year. Last year we held it in Palmerston with almost 220 people in attendance. And this year I'm suggesting that we have it back in Harriston the week of April 7th to the 13th, which is National Volunteer Week. So what I'm looking from you is a date that you would like to do this. I know that on the 11th there is economic development at this point in time, I believe, in the afternoon. So
Right.
the 11th of April may not work so well for some council members.
But we just wouldn't be able to help.
And that's why I said 11th probably wouldn't be very good. So
A nice try though, eh?
yeah,
I'm away all day on the 10th, so
I'm out on the 11th.
and you're out on the 11th anyway.
Okay, so
that
is
leaves-
the 7th Monday?
No, Monday is the 8th and Tuesday is the 9th.
Oh, okay. Oh, 7th starts Sunday.
It starts the Sunday,
Okay,
yeah.
So the 8th.
does that work? The ninth?
I'm away all
8th or
week.
9th?
So the 9th?
9th is the Lions Club usually.
Ninth is no
You're
good for
gone
me.
all that week.
Yes,
Okay, so
I'm
it's
gone.
looking more
So
like the
Monday.
8th.
How about the 8th?
8th Monday would be good, I think.
Going once.
Monday, April 8th it is.
Yeah.
So I would just need a mover and a seconder for my recommendation then.
Mover and seconder.
In a
Yep.
boat.
Judy, all in favor?
You like in a boat.
Yep. All right.
Okay, I guess I have two more reports here.
Yeah, I know.
My next report is on review of policies. So Bill 68, which received royal assent on May 30th, 2017, there was various sections that came into force at different times. So I show you there Section 270 of the Municipal Act, what policies are required, and then as of March 1st, there are 3 additional policies that are required. The relationship between council members and the officers and employees, the manner in which a municipality will protect and enhance the tree canopy, and pregnancy leaves and parental leaves for members of council. I reviewed all of the policies and bylaws in place, and there are a couple that I have brought forward for your consideration today. That would be number 1, the relationship between council members and the officers and employees of the municipality, which we've never seemed to have a problem with, but we do have to have it in place. Pregnancy leave and parental leaves for members of council as well. And I did make some changes to the accountability and transparency to the public policy, which was passed in 2017,
just taking into consideration the CAO clerk's retirement.
You want to do them individually?
No, I just wanted to know if there's any questions
Any
first.
questions
Otherwise,
on
my
them?
recommendation is for all of it.
Thought they were well. Yep. Questions. Gonna have a mover and a seconder. Mark. Ron. All in favor? Good. Thanks. All done.
Okay, just one last one, I guess. And that's Deputy Division Registrar and Officiant.
Yes.
So I am asking that we appoint one more Deputy Division Registrar to help us out in order to make sure that we can register deaths and issue marriage licenses in a good and timely manner. And as well, have someone to be able to officiate besides myself and Tanya. Last year, I performed 27 civil ceremonies, which is a lot. I've already got 17 booked for this year, so we're certainly on track for a lot of ceremonies. And we like to be able to offer people the ability of choice and of dates and times.
I'll move that. Second by Mark. Just a quick question. Does Quinn have to take a little course or something?
I'll provide her. She can take one through AMCTO. There is one provided.
Okay.
I have taken one before. I also can provide the training for her. So.
Okay, so that's fine. I thought there was something I would get in the business
Legally,
myself.
you don't have to be trained.
Business myself, but I heard there was a test. I
Yeah.
didn't want to get involved.
I have given tests before for it. So.
All in
Thank you.
favor? Good. Oh, I did. I thought Mark.
You're a good man.
You got it, Chris. Sorry.
I have it.
Yep. Other business. Has anybody got any other business?
Yeah, I do.
Thinking you ready?
Oh, you want? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So.
I thought you were thinking about it.
I'm not really sure if this is a very well kept secret or not, but the Kinsman Club of Hairston are celebrating a 60th anniversary.
Last night.
This year.
Out.
It's out. Okay. So 60 years. That's a reasonable amount of time. A bunch of volunteers, and I know that this town is extremely fortunate to have such a great group of volunteers, and just bringing that up. More to come. The date has been set, but I don't have it. So we are in the process of inviting some of our upper levels of government to come, because I think Palmerston Lions did one right not too long ago, and there's a hell of a lot of hours spent raising money and building parks and stuff, and it really it's a great idea to recognize it. So thank you.
Did you have one?
A couple things. I was going to comment that the Minto Chamber of Commerce celebrated their 20th anniversary, their 20th AGM last night, and so it's just it's really good to see the cooperation between the town of Minto and the businesses with the Chamber of Commerce. We have a really good relationship with them, and there's just a lot of municipalities and Chamber of Commerces that are at loggerheads, and we are not. And so I think that good work that we're doing together just spreads to everybody. And so congratulations to everyone involved in that. And then I just wanted to mention that the Wellington Farm Home Safety Association is having a pancake breakfast at the ACC, which is the Alma Community Center. And
not downtown. No, that's the Scotia place now down. So you can't get mixed up.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Anyways, that runs 9 to 12 on the 23rd of February, and there will be breakfast, and there will also be several stations around, lots of volunteers that will be talking to kids and adults alike about keeping safe. So that is coming up, and I'll be there as part of my committee responsibilities with the Wellington Farm Home Safety Association.
And I got just two things. Just one, the executive was named last night, and John Mock is the new president of the chamber, and John brings a lot of experience. He comes back, and that's nice to see. And it was nice to see that there's quite a young group coming on to the chamber as well, which is really good. And we're getting some Palmerston, some Clifford, and so it's spreading out. And the chamber's done a great job, and Summer does an excellent job as our shared staff person. I think that's all worked out really well with Logic and whatnot.
Looking for new members, though.
Yes, always look for new members, and actually John Burgess is actually, I always say John Cox, but John Burgess is going to be the new coordinator for memberships. If you know anybody that you think should be a member, send John a vote and explain everything to them and the benefits of it, and go there. We had Roma last week, and economic development at Roma. It was good to see lots of councillors there, and I thought it was a pretty good sessions. I didn't get as many sessions as I like. We got some delegations and whatnot, but I'm liking the commitment from the cabinet ministers and those people. I'm just not sure of the overall where we're going as far as Mr. Ford goes with how he's laying things out. But I think his team's saying the right things. But I want hopefully when we get this next budget and we really hit hard on oomph and some of the issues of funding to municipalities, we were able to take in some of the sessions on those. And certainly Roma is a good voice for that, and I like the fact that there was 1,200 delegates there, which was a big up. And when the ministers and they sit in their bear pit and they see 1,200 of them out there, it makes a big difference. They know that there's voices out there that are asking for cooperation and work together as a team. So looking forward to that. EDCO, we were able to go to EDCO, and we had a crew down there, and I was really pleased to sit in a room, and we won our award for Cones Collaboration Award, and quite interesting in the sense that we were up against the city of Pembroke and Haldeman County, and we were I believe we were the smallest group. Everybody else that was winning awards was City of Toronto, Hamilton, Niagara. Counties, and we were the little town of Minto there, and we won an award. So we were up against 0 to 50,000 populations. But what a great thing that was, and the fact that all the people that put that together, and really looking forward to the Palmerston one this year, because we're going to do trains in Palmerston, same idea. I think it just brings that whole thing together. So I was really proud of the troops that were there, and Minto is well thought of in the economic development world. A lot of press, a lot of people come up to us and ask us how we were doing things. So that's just this council and the previous councils pat in the back, because you put the money into economic development and we've seen the results. So we got to continue to go. That's about all I have. One more thing.
So just wanted to let everybody know that my community in Harrison is expanding.
Oh,
you seen it out in the driveway today? It's pretty interesting to watch.
Yes.
And Harrison Heights are. Sorry, Ron, you're getting a new pipe.
I thought your wife was pregnant or something.
Yeah, I was taken aback myself.
So,
Deputy Mayor Turk, and Pat was starting to scribble something down. I think.
Oh, it's great to see. And I mean, I'm sure, I know they're going to be beautiful. So
yeah,
drop down and see them.
And I think now they're there, and they've 8 units going in, and I think that'll really take off for the rest of it, I'm sure. I didn't have any boots with steel toes, so I couldn't go to the site.
What a lame excuse.
I know. Anyways, Mark, did you have something?
The county's now got their budget files.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way, well, there is a way, that we can actually see, there's a one-pager on the 5-year capital. Because the rural, you can write it down for each year.
Oh yeah, there's a 10-year plan now.
I think I'd like to, maybe council would like to see where our money's going, and if anything's coming to Minto in the next few years.
Do you want me with David maybe to make a presentation next meeting on the county budget, or like just a little bit of an update? I can put something in there. It's well laid out. I mean, I've got all the stuff.
Yeah, they usually are. It's nice to know where our tax dollars are going to the
county. Yeah, there's things there, boxes and graphs, and to show that. I can do that if you want. That's no problem.
It's coming to Minto.
Oh yeah, well, there isn't a lot. Okay, yeah. So maybe I'll get him to narrow it down to a bit of make sure he covers the budget. That'll be the big thing.
Thank you,
yep.
Mr. Mayor.
Yep, no problem.
Wow, have we ever had this before?
Yes, and
Have you ever had anything like that?
well, it's all set out. You know, you can get it online. It's all there. I mean, but just have somebody maybe do a little couple points on it. I can help
Good
with
idea.
that. I'm on the finance committee, so between him and I, he can maybe do the other parts of the report. I'll do the budget for you. Probably if you have any questions, I can probably hopefully answer them. Okay, and I guess the last thing we have is this our notice of motion that Mark, did you want to read that again, or how does that work?
Where is it?
Oh, here. Oh, hang on.
Have it. It's on your iPad.
It is.
Walk up there.
Wait. Notice of motions.
Top page 6.
We took over.
Oh, here, I'll give you that. There's one right there. Top page 6, there it is. Okay.
Notice of motion. Top of page 6. That the council of the town of Minto establish a moratorium on all future requests for dog kennel licensing and expansions to existing operations. The council has reviewed the bylaw. This will allow the town of Minto to make amendments, consider Canadian or provincial associations code of practice. It will strengthen our bylaw. Something staff.
Oh,
and that staff bring back
a report. Okay, so I need a seconder for Mark's notice of motion.
Second that.
On? Okay, any discussion on it? We can do discussion on it now, and then go from there. So discussion?
I just have a question for Councillor McKenzie. I don't have any problem with looking at a bylaw. That's good practice for sure. But I guess I'm curious about the moratorium part of the notice of motion.
Well, if we excuse me, thank you. If we accept our applications during the review or at the end of the review, we find that some of the recommendations request in a negative way. Shouldn't take a moment.
So,
Pending the outcome of the review.
So what? And at the end of your thing, you said, and the staff will bring back a report. So what I'm hoping to, knowing this was there, and you know, I didn't get staff to do a whole bunch because it has to be approved here first. But they know it's existing, and I think they will be able to. I believe I asked them, and Chris, am I right? They'll be able to bring back a report for the next meeting.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have been. They've been doing some work on that and doing some background to get ready in case you know your decision today. So we can bring a report to the next meeting.
So really, the next meeting, the moratorium would only be from now till the next meeting, and that would be anybody that would probably we'd probably put that on the agenda first, Judy. The report and discussion, and if we're doing any changes, and if there is anybody coming forward. Right now, we have nobody.
There's no one that we're aware of that has approached us
coming forward. So
no.
I guess I know it's the wording's, but I'm hoping this will be, well, in 2 weeks we'll have the report, discuss what changes we might make, and go from there. I mean, it is technically a moratorium because we can't approve another. Because by the way, all kennels have to be approved by this council, so they don't just come in and say they have to. They all, and I didn't realize that. And when we first talked about this, I thought, you know, if they fall into all the bylaw rules. But no, the rule is this council, previous councils made it that the councils have to approve each one of them. So I thought the other one was here because of a bit of a zoning issue and whatnot, but it was here for that purpose. So there can't be any more, Mark, now until the next one if we do have anything come in, I guess my point would be, and I don't know if this is right from a logistical thing, but we would put a report in our discussion about the actual bylaw on before we would look at any of if there was somebody came in, and if there was no changes on the bylaw, then they could follow up and do it. But if there are any changes or the debate on the bylaw was such that there might have to be some adjustments, then they'd have to wait till the next council.
Either way, you can suspend or put the decision on hold for a kennel until the bylaws. If one does come forward, you can, put it off till you get and advise the person that the bylaw is currently under review, and when it's completed, then you can reconsider it. So
that's what I'm saying. So I don't think this really is a problem. But, so but we're definitely going to have it on the next report. That's me.
Further to that, need council's approval to work with the officer in researching this?
No.
Or can I just
My own opinion on that, Mark, is we've always maintained that the council, I mean, you can send any input you want in, but the report will come from staff and then we'll debate it. I don't think I've ever seen any of our councilors sit down and work on a report.
It's operations.
It's operations, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. If you got information you want to send for them for the report, by all means send it. Okay, like if you got information on the kennel associations or whatever, I don't, or they tell them where to go to get the information, but we're not involved in making reports. In my own personal opinion, we've never done that since I've been there. Am I right on that?
Yeah, that's correct. So what we will do is we will research it and compare it to other bylaws in surrounding municipalities, and then bring you that report, and then you are able to send us information that you want to, that we will look at for the report. But then you can have the discussion at your council meeting on that too there. So, but we're definitely going to look at, and they're already currently looking at neighboring municipalities' bylaws to see how they compare to ours, so that gives you a good consensus as a council of what, not only what's in ours and what could be in ours, but what other municipalities are doing as well.
I think there's nothing stopping Mark from doing his own research and bringing that research to us too.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I would suggest if you have any information, you can send it to the staff and they can look at it and either put it in the report, not put it in the report. If they don't put it in the report and you have information you want to argue or talk about, by all means. But that's what the debate's all about. That's what we do here. We debate it, and then we have it come up with a consensus. But nobody writes the reports other than the staff.
Yeah.
Writing a report, I have information I wouldn't mind.
You and I can talk about it,
Yeah.
Councilor McKenzie, and you can give me the information and point us in the right direction where we can get it and all that kind of stuff. And you and I can talk, and then I can give it on to staff to work on in the report. So no problem.
Wrong with that. We don't work on reports, so I don't sit down with staff and work on the report. Goes through Chris. Chris can make sure the staff get all the information.
Yeah, and we look for input from wherever we can get it to do it, the report.
Okay.
No problem.
Yep. We had a seconder. Goody, do you want some more?
Yeah, so I guess this moratorium, so first of all, this is a fairly large bylaw. Like, this isn't just a couple pages long.
No.
This is a fairly big bylaw. I was part of the group that approved it last time. So I guess I'm not totally convinced that we can get it done at our next meeting. I think there may be more information that comes forward than what we can maybe build into a bylaw in one meeting. I don't know for sure. And I guess in my mind, a moratorium just seems kind of heavy-handed, and so I guess that was the part of the motion that I'm not really happy with. So I would like to suggest an amendment that we take out the moratorium part.
Okay, your seconder for that amendment?
No, I'll second it.
Yep. Okay.
So I agree. Moratorium is a strong word. I really think that if there's issues out there that people want to, they're going to hear that word and they're going to maybe get involved. But on the other hand, I agree with what's been said. We approve all dog kennels and I agree. I mean, I think that word is really strong. We don't go ahead with any kennel applications until we approve it here. So, I mean, I'm happy with continuing on the way we're going till we do the report and discuss it and whatever.
Okay. So we have to vote on the first one first, right?
Vote on the amendment.
Amendment first. So who's for the amendment? Four to two. Carried. So we're just taking the moratorium. I don't think it matters. I mean, but I agree with you. If we can't, for some reason, Judy, get it all done. I actually haven't read the bylaw fully, so I know it's probably fairly extensive.
It's a lot of reading.
The original one as amended. Yeah, so it's the original one as amended. So who's all for the original one as amended? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. And as they say, nobody's come forward yet, and I don't anticipate it. We do have that opportunity. All right. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. The Committee of the Whole convenes in regular council meeting. All in favor? Any other notices of motion? Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Gunston. The Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Elliott, the bylaw number 2019-12 to authorize the license extension and amending agreement to Her Majesty the Queen and the right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Government of Consumer Services. We introduced, read first, second, and third time, passed open council, seal and seal corporation. All in favor? Queen. That's for the Queen. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor McKenzie, the bylaw number 2019-13 being the bylaw to adopt a council staff relationship policy be introduced and read first, second, and third time, passed open council, seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Gunston, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, as the bylaw number 2019-14 being a bylaw to adopt the elected officials parental leave policy be introduced, read first, second, third time, and passed open council, seal the corporation. All in favor? See, I thought that's what you were going to talk about. I thought you had that figured out, David. As soon as you pass that, you were going to make the announcement. But you're ahead of the game.
Should be grandbaby.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Dirksen, the bylaw number 2019-15 to authorize civil marriage solemnization services. Wow. Introduced first, read first, second, and third time, and passed on the council, seal the seal of corporation. All in favor? We all went through that once, or I did anyway. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Gunston, the bylaw number 2019-16 for the purpose of appointing Quinn Forter as Deputy Division Registrar be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed on the council, seal the corporation. All in favor? He'll be the popular new marriage person with all his friends. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Elliott, bylaw number 2019-17 to confirm the actions of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Minto respecting a meeting held February the 5th, 2019, be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed on the council, seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Gunston. The Council of the Town of Minto adjourned to meet again at the call of the Mayor. All in favor? Thank you for a good meeting, everybody.